Okay. Change them halfway. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special episode on the Owwll Podcast. This is the 4 Hours of Wisdom, the ultimate call-in show. We have only done this one other time with Jonathan Palmer, big LinkedIn guru, but today we have the Mark Savant. He is such an amazing podcaster, runs a top 1% podcast, one of the few people that makes revenue through his podcast. And behind the scenes, it's all about AI. He is going to share with everyone today all the news, all these tools coming out, all the tactics, and really how to take advantage of it. And we are the only podcast that I am aware of that does a live call-in show. So if you are listening right now on either YouTube, LinkedIn under my account, Jason R. Hill, or Mark's account, make sure go ahead and download Owwll, and you're going to get $10 for free today. And then call him. We are going to pin Mark to the top of the Owwll app. It's really hard to not find him, and then pretty much call him. If it's blinking red, that means he's on a call with us. You're going to see him up on the television, your profile. And then, of course, be notified when he's available by just clicking the notify button on his profile. And how cool is this? You will get your clip. We're going to email every single person their clip because we have your emails from the Owwll app, of course. And then at the end of the show, sometime tomorrow, we're going to gather them all and send those clips over. I'm joined here with my co-host, Danielle Santilli. So what's up, Danielle? How are you doing today?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Have a lot of AI questions.
I know. So it's going to be an exciting episode. So make sure to download Owwll and get ready to call Mark. You're going to see us make himself available in the next 10, 20 minutes and take some calls. Mark, welcome to the Owwll Podcast Studio. This is your third time here, right?
It is. It is. All because of podcasting, actually. That's how we originally met.
It sure was.
I
think you just sent me a cold turkey message on LinkedIn or something, and you're like, "Hey, would you like to come on my show?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, man.
And look at us today.
Now, okay, I do not feel quite as cool as Jay Palmer, though. I didn't bring the shades today. No sunglasses day, but I'm still coming for you, Jay.
It's okay. The sun is not shining today, so that wouldn't be appropriate.
And we could pass you that Owwll teddy bear that you were holding back in the day. We have it in the studio. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We bring that out.
Danielle's like, not cool at all.
Yeah.
She looked at me like, nah.
This is
If
pretty.
I saw somebody walking around with a teddy bear that was like that, she's like, not talking to that dude.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
No,
At least not in public.
Not winning in the bars. You know, something that was kind of cool last night. I was playing with my kids. We were talking about generating images with ChatGPT. They just introduced this using DALL-E, and she said, "I said, what do you want to generate an image of?" She said, "Let's generate an image of a giraffe playing soccer with a hat and make it cool." And it made this awesome looking giraffe. And then we said, "Make it cooler," and then it showed it like with all these people around it, and then it said make it even cooler, and it's in this sci-fi, and just that's one of the cool things you can do with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You can keep making it cooler, keep making it creepier, or keep making it more owly, whatever you want to do.
I do that all the time when I'm writing certain things, just in general. I'm like, okay, like I've been using it a little bit for songwriting, and I'm like, make it less cheesy. Then I'm like, and less cheesier than that, and and it really does. Like it really understands. It's pretty wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Mark, tell the world out there what they're missing out when it comes to AI. So often people get stuck in their ways, right? They're used to using Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, and their traditional like online scheduling, and then they do their podcast and it's just hire someone to edit videos in the old school way. But you really, figure this thing out. Like you're like, this makes no sense. Like you could, take all these different tools out there and literally save, thousands of hours, every single year.
It's crazy.
It's huge.
I own and operate a podcast marketing agency, right? We produce tons of content for clients. A year and a half ago, a key team member gave me that dreaded message every entrepreneur just does not want to hear, which is, "Boss, I quit. I'm moving to Spain. I'm going to college. See you later." And I did the next thing that most entrepreneurs do, and I freaked out and I started doing a lot of the work myself to try to keep up, put up the job list and start doing the work. I immediately became overwhelmed. Spoiler alert. Became immediately overwhelmed. I said, what am I going to do? I'm trying to find someone. I still need to do this work, but I have all these other operations to do. So I turned to AI. I remember someone talking to me about using AI. And so I started using AI.
Yep.
Jason, I saved 90% of my time overnight. Immediately 90% of my time like that. So I started training the rest of my staff on it. I started learning. I was so hungry. I became obsessed. And now I'm using AI in just about every step of my processes. And there's a reason why every conference you go to, every podcast, every YouTube channel is talking about it, because it's life-changing, world-changing stuff.
So let's talk about a basic one, right? You do a podcast like this one today. What would be something that you would recommend for us to take advantage of, right? Typically we take the audio file, we take the video file, right? We upload it into a Google, shared folder or Dropbox, right? And then, our team goes and edits these, one at a time, and puts little clips of you on social media, right? And maybe we have to do other words ourselves on social media. Obviously, there's ChatGPT to help you out with those words these days. But tell the audience, if they're not doing it, like, I know some of the tricks, but I want them to know some of the tricks. What would you recommend?
Well, so at its heart, what is AI? In its current form, they're large language models, and so they're taking language and predicting, well, what's the next word, what's the next pattern going to be based on previous. It's incredibly powerful for generating text and editing using text. Okay, so every single word that we're speaking into the microphone right now is all being transcribed by Google, by Facebook,
which is kind of scary if you think about it.
Every single word. I was actually streaming with Matt Cox a few weeks ago up in Tampa, and in the middle, for no reason at all, Alexa just barged into the conversation and started talking to us, which was it was amazing. We were talking about a part where the government is listening to everything that we do, so that was kind of funny, a little eerie. Anyway, so every word that we speak is being transcribed, and one of my favorite tools, one of our team's favorite tools, is a program called Descript. And what Descript does is it does that. It links up every moment of your video or your audio, and then it connects the text to it. So you can easily go in and say, hey, this is the part where Mark said something that was amazing, life-changing. This was the part where Danielle just strummed that amazing song. And you can clip that out just using the text. So you don't have to go through and watch every second, listen every second. You just take the text out and create clips very easily from that. So that's one way. You can also use Descript in a way where it can actually find certain areas in the text. And during this 4-hour stream, we're going to go into a lot more detail on a lot of the tips, but Descript is a really powerful AI tool.
And I am excited because if you're listening out there, you're going to be able to call him and ask him any questions that are on your mind. So this is going to be a fun 4 hours straight of podcasting. And most importantly, just giving out knowledge to all the community members that want to call in, of course.
I'm curious, what is the most surprising thing about AI? Like, if you had to pick one thing, I guess, that people don't really know, what would you say that is? That's a hard question. But, or maybe two things.
This is kind of topical now, and it's something I've started diving into a little bit, but text to video generation is astounding.
Okay.
It is remarkable. I was watching a 21-minute news cycle last night. A lot of the images, a lot of video, and the newscasters were all AI generated. And if I didn't tell you, Danielle, you wouldn't know. It is shocking. So you probably saw that that the writers unions and SAG-AFTRA, they're striking in Hollywood. The strike has been lifted now, but they know this is coming. They know this is coming. That your favorite actors and actresses within 2 years is going to be an AI actor, owned by a studio or owned by a 22-year-old Bangladeshi boy. Like the text to video is shockingly good, and it's only going to get more.
So when you say text to video, I could say create a person that looks like this, blah 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 blah, is saying these words, and you write up a script, and then it just creates this being, this online character, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You could, and I don't know exactly how it's going to look. It's evolving so fast, but right now you can say, hey, generate a video of a young woman singing in front of a huge crowd on the top of a mountain, and it will generate typically 4-second clip of you doing that. And so what you can do is you can start putting together all these 4-second clips. And I'm telling you, if you're not playing with like Pika Labs and Runway ML, it's unbelievable what you can do with text.
And what do these programs cost right now?
A lot of them are free to try.
Okay.
Free to play with, and then you can always purchase extra features.
Oh, okay.
But if you're curious, if you're creative, you need to be trying these out. Again, two of my favorites right now are Pika Labs. It's Pika Labs, and then Runway ML are kind of leading the way.
Awesome.
Or what I like to do is call an expert and get the knowledge and have them help you and support you, because too often everyone's trying to do it themselves, right? They go out there and like, okay, I listened to Mark, and then they try to figure everything else out, and they get flustered, right? We've all been there before. It's like exhausting. Like which YouTube video, which program you sign in, you think it's free, but then it costs money. I've been there like with so many technologies. I thought it was a free trial, but then it's not. You can only use like one button of the 18 million, right? And it's just so much easier to call you and be like, hey, Mark, I'd rather just pay you $1,000, $2,000, train me. How do I do this? Right? Because
I'm not going to sit on
that,
YouTube all day. I just
yeah.
can't
So
do
I
it.
just feel like there's so much technology out there today and so much AI
Yeah.
that it's hard to swift like through the right ones to then take advantage of. And you've done that. You love it, you know, and have you made it your business? You know, you've made a huge shift in, you know, the conversations you're having about AI because you believe in it so much and it's new. So I just believe that, you know, in the world that we live in, it's like just get in contact with folks like Mark and pick his brain. And then, of course, you'll learn that technology and then you could execute it with the team that you have behind the scenes. Because often then you learn it, but then you want to pass it on to the next person. Because if you're running a business, you know, you and I both know it's like it's hard to do it all yourself. Even though you have all this AI, it's easier than ever. It's still hard to do it all, right?
It's certainly not scalable to do it all unless you want to be an independent freelancer for the rest of your life with no employees, no team. But like, mark my words, within 5 years, you're going to have billion-dollar companies being created with one person behind the scenes, creating these AI systems and programs. It's without a doubt in my mind. Even on the movie scene, there's going to be one kid in a garage, probably be like 16 years old. He's just going to be making these full-length feature films that are on Netflix. And you know, you're not going to need actors, actresses, directors, lighting departments, music departments. And so that it's gonna get weird. It's actually gonna get pretty scary. You know, the World Economic Forum is predicting 80 million jobs displaced over the next 12 months. Walmart automating 63% of their stores within the next 12 months.
Hopefully they fix healthcare finally, because the billing is out of control over there. And you know, you think about the mismanagement of information. I know a lot of A companies are going through people's medical records and finding diseases quicker. That's pretty awesome. You know, so it's going to help people live longer, of course, where the human's looking at a gazillion files every week, which is the doctor, of course, and they overlook things. And the AI is going to say, hey, you missed this. Like the combo of this, and this, they would likely have, you know, a thyroid issue, right? Dude. And then all of a sudden that person's going to go check their thyroid, like, oh, the AI was right. They do have a thyroid issue. Good thing we told them to have a scan. Right? It's pretty amazing.
Dude, ChatGPT is 50% more effective at locating, at reviewing MRIs and finding cancerous cells. 50% more effective.
That's crazy.
50%.
Okay, so you know what time it is, Mark? It's time to show everyone a little bit about Owwll. So we're going to mirror our screen on the television. We're going to quickly show everyone how to call into the show. And we're going to make Mark available to have a chat with him one-on-one. So everyone's seeing the big screen. Here is the Owwll app. When you download it, you'll see all the different categories. And if you're not an expert yet, you definitely want to become one. You will then have this feature where you could make yourself available at any given moment of the day, any amount of time you want throughout the work week, and take inbound calls. You could charge any amount you want. Minimum is $1. Charge $1,000, $10,000, 10-minute call. Of course, if you're charging $10,000, you better have 10 million plus followers if you want people to call you at that rate. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and set Mark available for the next 3.5 hours. And it's first come, first serve. If you call in, you're going to come live on the show. So Mark has a blinking green light. So let's see who our first caller will be. And while we're doing that, you know, we're going to continuously give people a quick tour of the app. So you have different categories right here on the home screen. Every single week, we switch them around. And how about that? We have our first caller already. Hello, is this Jonathan Palmer? Jonathan Palmer, how are you?
I am doing great. How you guys doing?
Who would have thought that the first person to call in was the last person who did a 13-hour show? How about that?
Well, I was thinking, well, actually, I've been sitting on Owwll for the last 30 minutes waiting for this moment because
technical difficulties.
As you know, Jonathan, technical difficulties.
We didn't use AI to set this up, so obviously we had problems.
It's all good. I just wanted to make sure that I was the first one on and to wish Mark good luck as he does his own marathon. So
wow,
I just wanted to be a part of it.
Thank you. I just wish I had the shades, the stunning shades like you had on your live stream.
I figured with how much you know about AI, there's not some kind of app where we could just add the shades to your face.
You probably, yeah, that's probably could. I'll get our producer Stephanie. Stephanie, give me some stunner shades, please. Put them on. She's typing furiously, making it happen.
Love it. So yeah, I did have some questions for Mark though.
Go.
If he's open to them.
He is open. That's
Let's
why
go,
you get
baby.
to be the first caller of the day. Ask him anything. That's the power of Owwll.
First call. Yeah. Sorry to everybody that's after this. It gets real boring, but I know Mark and Jason and Danielle bring the energy. But question I got to know is, Mark, as a young entrepreneur, it's my first year in business. What do you feel are some of the most transformative apps or software or platforms in your realm that you feel have really helped you be more productive, more on point, streamline your process? What are some of your favorites currently?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the best things to do as a young entrepreneur is look at all the steps in your process, all your standard operating procedures, and try to identify the stuff that either takes you a long time, is maybe kind of dull and repetitive, anything that has to do with copywriting and text. Those are some of the first places to start. Okay. If you have any team members or staff, definitely you want to have an AI day where you sit down with the team and you identify how maybe some of them are already using AI or some aren't, and streamline. I'm actually doing an AI day at my company on Friday because it just stuff is happening so quickly. Now, to answer your question specifically, I mean, I still really love ChatGPT. I know there's a lot of competitors that are coming out, Google Bard, and Twitter is just released Grok to all their premium members. I still like ChatGPT. I think it's got a lot of great features. They're going to be releasing a marketplace. You actually have the ability to actually create your own chatbots, design your own chatbots with ChatGPT, which I think is pretty insane. This is a great way of generating leads and providing more benefit to potential clients and prospects, or maybe even delivering more value to your current clients. Because I don't know about y'all, but I get a lot of frequently asked questions.
Oh, we need that on the Owwll app. I want to build that inside the app. So that way anyone has any difficulties, the chatbot will fire away questions. No one wants to read anymore. No one wants to read the FAQs. They want to just type it in.
Exactly. And so you can train it. I mean, I asked on LinkedIn the other day, how much would you pay for 10,000 hours of podcast experience? I said, you don't have to pay anything. It's for free. You can get it right here. If you go to aiupdate.ai, you can get my free chatbot. So I think that ChatGPT is king. Descript, which we mentioned. I love Cast Magic, what they're doing over there. Zapier is sick. Zapier is really, really cool for connecting apps. So those are a few of my favorites.
Wait, what was Zapier for what?
Zapier is cool. I've used that before.
Yeah, Zapier is awesome, and especially when you integrate it with AI like ChatGPT. But Zapier basically allows you to connect apps together that wouldn't normally connect.
Oh.
Like maybe you want to connect your Gmail to your CRM and go high level, or HubSpot. There's some cool things you can do.
Sweet. Thank you for that. And one more. You got time for one more question?
You got 5 minutes and 25 seconds left.
There we go. Okay, perfect. I know that, Mark, we got a little history, buddy. So, and I know that you're a big fan of podcasting. So I have a lot of clients that are starting to recognize the appeal of podcasting just because of the way that it can streamline content creation, make the process really easy. One, you know how it is, like one podcast can be cut up into 20 different pieces. So there's a lot of belief right now that podcasting is really oversaturated. And if you want to dive into it in 2023, good luck. So is there any reassurance you could give, or is the reality that podcasting is becoming a little bit oversaturated?
I mean, listen, it depends what your goals are. If your goal is to be Joe Rogan, you're going to need a lot of capital to get it going. The reality is the most popular podcasts out there are not being done via remote video calls. They're being done in person in studios like we've got here in Boca. That's where the biggest are going to be. You're probably going to need to be paying big guests to come in, paying tens of thousands of dollars for big guests to come into your studio. Generating, figuring out the income structure is important too, right? But here's the deal. Every single client that I have, every single stage that I've spoken on, every single opportunity, the reason I'm sitting here today is because of podcasting. Okay. It's not necessarily about getting hundreds of thousands of downloads every month, or even every week, or even every year, right? It's about the relationships that you're able to connect. It's about sitting with people that are out of your league. Heck, dude, I was just a few weeks ago, I was sitting on I had a 45-minute coaching call with Neil Patel. He's the biggest.
No way.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I got got Neil Patel on my podcast. I would never have had access to someone like Neil Patel without having a podcast that I had built up credibility on. That's just one of many examples. Pat Flynn, Sean Cannell, Jasmine Starr, all because I had a platform, all because I had a podcast that was allowed me to lead with value. So again, depending on what your goals are with the podcast, it's I think by far the best marketing platform that you can get started in.
Incredible. Good to know. And also, out of curiosity, kind of like bridging off of that same idea, did you feel like once you got that one big guest on your podcast, it opened the door to send invites to other bigger names? Is it kind of like a compounding effect? Like you just like work your way up the scale, and then you're able to send out some messaging and say, hey, listen, I've had this person on my podcast, that person. And yeah, you just work your way up the ladder. Does it kind of work that way for you?
Yeah, I mean, the bigger your book, the better. You got to shoot your shot. But I mean, listen, before episode 25, I'd had Pat Flynn on my show, and he invited me to go on his show. And Pat Flynn is one of the biggest podcast marketers on the world. Heck, dude, within the first week, I had Jason Hill on my podcast.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
I was connected with a bunch of people over at FAU. He connected me with the TEDx organizer over here. So even from day one, you can get massive value.
Good to know. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, buddy.
You know what it is? You never feel like you're selling when you invite someone on a podcast, right? So it's just a natural, like, hey, you should join me on the show.
Sometimes I'll literally say, hey, do you want to get free content? Like, just a way to, and I completely agree with once you get the names, more people will come. Like, I always lead with, we had John Fieldy, the CEO of Celsius, on our podcast, and it just every time, once I started using that name versus like, do you want to come on the podcast for this random app that you've never heard of? Like, it just makes.
Well, it's a new way of saying, let's grab a cup of coffee. I just saw,
right.
Kim Perrell post like the best thing she's ever done is say, let's grab a cup of coffee. Right. But I say, really, the best thing is, why don't you come on my podcast show? Mm-hmm. Right. Because it's a lot easier. That's the modern way of saying, let's grab a cup of coffee, because you're going to grab a cup of coffee with someone for like an hour or so, typically, because you end up going there for 15 minutes. But before you know it, it's an hour conversation. But really, you could just have a podcast and it's the same hour time, but the guest walks away with this better experience than your typical Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks.
You lead with value.
Yes.
You lead with value for sure. And again, if done right, if you have the right processes on the front end, if you have the right processes on the back end, you've got an email drip campaign, you're nurturing, you're not selling. Like I said, every single client that I have, every stage, every event, that I've been able to lead is due to podcasting. It's just not close. I don't know what to tell you. And with all these AI tools are out here, it makes it easier and more accessible. You're going to need to work a little bit harder to stand out in the crowd, to your point, but it's incredibly powerful when done right.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Mark. And like I said, I wish you guys the best of luck. I wish I could be there, but I know you guys are in good hands with Mark hosting and Jason there and Danielle there. You guys are going to kill it. Really excited for you guys and wish you the absolute best. Drink a couple of Celsius for me.
And I will share a little update for everyone. If you want to be interviewed by Jonathan Palmer, he will be at Techpalooza at our booth tomorrow in Fort Lauderdale. Our booth running all day. Big AI conference. We need to get Mark there. We need to figure a way how to get him to cancel all his meetings tomorrow and sneak him over there for a few hours to do some co-hosting with us. But we'll have our interactive podcast. Well, Jonathan, thank you for being our first caller on the 4 Hours of Wisdom show today on Owwll. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll check back in later, guys. Good luck.
Later.
Good luck.
Okay. Should we give him a 5-star review? What do you think, Mark?
I think so. That he was a very pleasant young man.
Okay.
Very pleasant.
Well, when I'm not in the room, you have to give the reviews from here on out, because I'm not going to be here for the next 3 hours. I'm going to do the first 2, and then we're going to
I'm going to let you guys take it from here.
And little trick, Mark, if you get bored and no one else is calling in, sometimes a trick, you just go offline and then backline, because it sends out notifications. But look at that.
Okay.
It's already ringing. I'm going to let you take this one the entire time. Okay.
All right, Jason. Thank you.
It's all yours.
Avrom.
Hey, how's it going? It's Techie here.
Hey, what's up, Techie? Good afternoon. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, no, I'm always enjoying the show. I'm glad I actually made it on this time. But one thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to AI and technology, I'm constantly teaching an elderly class every Friday, and we're always talking about demystifying technology. And one thing they've been very focused on is AI technology, but they've been looking at it as, oh no, there's some problems here. Like, what type of things should they be looking out for? We've been discussing, for example, of people using AI to make spam websites that look very familiar and convinces them to put in their credentials and other things like that. But I know you've been talking about the benefits, but I also kind of was curious about what your thoughts are on what I should be educating the elderly about to watch out for.
Love the question. I love, by the way, that our seniors out there are getting involved in AI. Let's go. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. So the first thing I think you want to know about most of these AI models like ChatGPT, which I think is a great way to get started, is that you want to be careful before you put in sensitive personal information, right? If you're putting in social security numbers and exact dosages of medicines, you might want to take a step back and be careful because it is collecting all of the responses. That's how it trains. It's trained off those models. There were countries like Spain, for example, that actually banned ChatGPT for a period of time. It's back up and running in Spain. So all my Spanish friends out there, you're good. But it did get banned for a short period of time. So that's one thing to think about is privacy. The other thing I think that we need to keep in mind is we need to start questioning everything. Just because you see something on social media doesn't mean it really happened. It doesn't necessarily mean it really happened. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I'm a Floridian, so I've been pretty happy with what Ron has done here. Ron DeSantis has done. We got us open for business, baby. I was back on the beach and going to restaurants here pretty quick during the COVID-19 pandemic. But one of the things that he did recently, his team released some AI images of Trump hugging Fauci, right? So that's something that we need to be looking at here. Just because you see an image on the internet or on social media, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. You need to be questioning. You need to be careful before you jump to conclusions. So that's another thing. And then the third thing, I think this is super practical. If you get a call from your granddaughter and your granddaughter says, "Help, Grandma, I've been kidnapped. I need you to send $1,000." Make sure you have a password or a safe word or something because AI generated audio is extremely good. Extremely good. There's a program 11labs.io. You can use this for free, 11labs.io. I actually recorded an entire episode using 11labs.io. All you got to do is type in text and it can mimic voices with incredible accuracy. So those are three quick things that I would make sure you're aware of.
I absolutely love the thing about the safe word because it's funny. We're always talking about passkeys and passwords. And it is interesting that the Council on Aging was able to go in to say, like, hey, we want our seniors not to just understand how to email, but let's demystify technology and actually discuss what's happening. But I think the safe word, that is something I've missed myself. And I should definitely put some more emphasis on that. So I thank you for that one. The other thing that I wanted to discuss a little bit about is AI literature. There seems to be a lot of concern about, does anybody have any brains anymore? Are we basically just recycling the same ideas because AI is essentially learning from all of us, which means that no one has the bandwidth for creativity. So where do you see all of that?
I was actually hosting a panel this last week with the principal for Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and I was asking the same exact thing and say, hey, should students be using AI on their paper? She said, listen, we understand AI is important, but we discourage the use of AI in our school because we actually want to build some fundamentals. So I think that's an important conversation, especially in the education sector. I mean, bro, you take me back 20 years to when I was in high school, like I wouldn't be sitting in the library doing research. I would just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I need to write this paper for my history class. Can you write me out a dissertation? And it's shockingly good. But I mean, just as calculators are probably hurting our ability to process math, sure, AI can. But I mean, it's still a really powerful tool. I could give you some more stories, but it's great for how often have you sat in front of a computer and been like, I don't know what to do. I don't know the first word to type. AI ChatGPT is really good at getting your wheels turning.
Well, I mean, it's funny because we're homeschooling our kids. So for example, when it comes to calculation, we're not actually giving a calculator. They actually have an abacus that they're using. And probably most people listening don't know what an abacus is, but that's where you've got those beads that you move around. So you can go and you can count things out. But it's just interesting to go and to watch when they're doing math of addition and using the abacus and using that type of technology. in a way, there's more articles coming out about how depressed we are in society. So essentially, how do you utilize AI technology as a tool without the depressing factors that are involved in it? Because technology is creating some overwhelming aspects to life.
Woo, big one, big question.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
And I think it's an important conversation, which frankly isn't being discussed enough. I think it's so easy as a parent. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. It's so easy to say, I'm worn out. It was a long day. Here, just take my phone and play around on YouTube or whichever app. So there's a couple questions there, but I'll give you a personal story. The other day, my daughter came home from school. Okay. And she got a bad grade on a test. And she made the comment, "I'm so dumb." And I said, whoa. Hold up. Come with me. So we went into the bathroom. We looked in the mirror and I said, "I want you to repeat after me. Look at yourself in the eyes. I want you to repeat after me. I am great. I am powerful. I'm a bad mamma jamma." And say it with conviction. And at first she laughed. She thought it was so funny, but I said it again. And I said it a third time and a fourth and a fifth. And by that time she got it. She understood that I can't be looking for confidence out there. I can't be looking for confidence on my phone, because you know what? The phone is going to beat you up day after day. Someone on YouTube the other day was making a joke at me because I was wearing a hat. Like, "Who wears hats inside?" I'm like, bro, you cannot be looking to this. You cannot be looking to your phone for confidence, motivation, and self-worth. It has to come from in here. Regardless of whether it's social media, TV, or the mean girl at school, it comes from in here. And I think above all, that's what we should be teaching our kids. It comes from in here.
I love it. The one last thing that I want to end with is there's been a lot of controversy about Disney's 100. They came out with a movie called Wish, which is based upon the whole idea of when you wish upon a star. There's a lot of people on YouTube that have analyzed the whole thing, and they believe, especially with the writer's strike and actor's strike, that a lot of the story was generated by AI. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but just your thoughts and comments about Hollywood utilizing AI in the future, making stories that may not necessarily be what audience wants, because it's too formulaic.
Well, all right. So Disney aside, every single writer, copywriter, email generator, every single one of you need to be using AI now to generate stories. Okay. You need to be doing it because it's going to save you so much time. Now, to your point about stories being too formulaic, like it's really good. I'll give you another example working with my daughter. We were sitting down. We popped open Chat GPT, and I said, let's have Chat GPT write us a story. What do you want to hear? What should we write a story about? And I said, let's write it. And she said, well, let's write a story about me and my younger brother. I said, cool. Chat GPT, write a story using the hero's journey formula where Addie is having a problem with her younger brother, but at the end they figure it all out. And it actually wrote a really amazing story. Really amazing story. So people say AI is not creative. You're getting it wrong. AI is extremely creative. There's a reason why all the Disney's box office movies are flopping. And that's a whole nother story. They basically declared war on parents. So when you declare war on the people that are giving you money, then, you're going to lose every time. So maybe Disney, maybe Bob Iger figure that out. But the reality is that AI is very creative, and it's very powerful getting your creative juices flowing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking 10 minutes of your time. It has been very lucrative, and I am really excited to be able to go into explain this technology to those who don't necessarily know how technology works, but keep it going, and good luck on the rest of your 4 hours.
Thanks, Techie. And props to you, by the way, for standing up for your kids and do the abacus and the homeschooling. Good for you, brother. I can tell you know what's important.
I appreciate it. Have a great show.
Boom. Give it up for Techie. Give it up for Techie. Smash that like button. You have any thoughts or feelings on AI and how you can get it going? You can hop in live on the Owwll podcast. It's OWWLL. Go to your app store. I'm just going to leave a review for Techie. Great. Let's see here. What should we type here? Great questions. Forward thinker. Family Guy. All right. You go on with your bad self, Techie. And whoever is next, please hop on live with me, Mark Savant. I'm going to I'm just going to just drop story after story after story on you because stuff just keeps happening all the time. I'm going to drop a quick fact. A quick fact. McKinsey Consulting, one of the largest consulting firms in the entire world, anticipates that by 2030, 30% of the world's workforce will be displaced by AI. Let me repeat that again for everyone in the back who missed that. 30% of the global workforce displaced within 7 years. Do you think that's a problem? What does that mean for you? Where are you sitting? Because I can tell you this, 2024 is going to be one of the most chaotic years we've ever experienced. There's a presidential election. AI is taking over. It is going to be so chaotic. The best thing that you can do for yourself right now, the biggest monster in your life is apathy. It's complacency. It's thinking that I can do it tomorrow. It's thinking that, oh, I love this. I freaking love this. Oh, I'm not replaceable because people need that human to human connection. Spoiler alert, humans are freaking expensive. You are very expensive. Yeah, you right there. You are very, very expensive. You don't show up to work. You get sick. You argue with your coworkers. You're probably spending half the day on your phone. You're expensive. Not to mention, you probably have an IRA. You're probably being paid for health insurance. Employers, companies, businesses. As a businessman himself, I get this. They're going to be looking for solutions to lower their expenses. Inflation's at an all-time high. Okay. Employers are going to be looking for ways to reduce their expenses, and you're only one ChatGPT update away from being replaced, or at least by seeing massive layoffs. Have you seen that scene in Office Space? That scene in Office Space where the two dorky guys, they walk in and they're like business consultants and they're basically just interviewing everyone in the office to see who's going to get replaced. If you are not using AI, you are on the freaking chopping block. Your head is already on the spit. You need to start acting now. And that doesn't mean buying all these super expensive courses or going back to college or getting a software engineering degree. It starts with just opening up a program like ChatGPT for 15 minutes a day and start getting comfortable. Start asking it questions. Start asking it to create outlines. Start asking it to write things down. Start making your own chat bots. Listen, for $20 a month, you can be pretty dangerous. And for $1, you can pop on a phone with me right now on the Owwll app. For $1. If you're not sure where to start, pop on a quick call. Let's get you started. I got ChatGPT open on my computer right here. I've got this big brain that's been using. Let me finish this story, by the way. I told the story earlier. I'm going to start from the beginning. A year and a half ago, I had a key team member send me a message that they were leaving my company, my podcast marketing agency. They said, Mark, I quit. Not a fun call to get. You know what I did? I did what every business owner does, and I started freaking the hell out and started doing the work. And I became immediately overwhelmed. I was stressed out. I'm pulling out my hair, talking to my wife. She's like, Mark, you're working too much. I was like, yeah, what can I do? I started using AI, and within minutes, I was able to save myself 90% of the time I was spending on these tasks. 90%. That's 90% of my time. I immediately became obsessed. I started training my team. I started implementing AI in more of my business processes from top to bottom. Within 4 months, I had quit my day job and I was all in with my agency. My agency is now 6 figures. I have 6 team members and we're crushing it. We're growing. We're getting more and more people that want to launch podcasts every day. By the way, 2024 is my freaking year. Don't get it twisted. We're going for 500K. We're going to do $500,000 in revenue 2025. I see you, Danielle. We're getting there. We're going to get. Let's go. We'll hop on the Owwll app. Let's go. So it's life-changing stuff, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's only become more ingrained in every step. Have you gone to Walmart recently? They're going to be automating 63% of their stores. There's like not a human in the damn place. You got to go up front. You're doing all of your checkout by yourself. Maybe there's one person at guest services. It's all going to be automated. Amazon is already rolling out stores where there's not a single person in there. You walk in, it uses facial recognition technology to figure out who you are. You go in, you grab your toothpaste and you walk out and it charges. That's already happening. It's already happening. That's already happening. Do you understand? Retail, by the way, is the #1 employer in the United States. Retail. Walmart automating their stores. Cashiers, no more. I went to a McDonald's yesterday. There were 2 people in the whole restaurant, and they didn't even have a cash register. They didn't have a cash register. I go up on the thing and I start typing in